Hey, deserving listeners. So this is a Love is Blind video, but I'm not going to react to any of the show in this episode because I want to go over the results of a survey that I sent out. I sent out a survey a few days after the first 6 episodes were aired. And it was before the next batch, and I wanted to get a snapshot of the viewers, your opinions of the individual cast members, and also get some of your hot takes. So in this episode, I'm going to go over the results of that survey. I'm going to talk about each cast member and your opinions about this individual, and then I'll go into some hot takes later on. And this episode is just going to be for YouTube members, by the way, because I want to reward them for becoming a member. Also, I can't imagine this episode being super appealing to a wide audience because I'm not going to be reacting to the show. Also, I think that we're going to be getting into, some clinical things that might be of interest to people. But I'm going to have a free portion here that'll be on YouTube for everybody. And I thought we would talk about Chelsea. And the survey was, I had a number of questions and then all the cast members, and then you could check where it applies. So with the first question, I asked, who do you like? And so you could, check as many of the cast members as you wanted. And there was about 258 responses, respondents. And so if you have 35 people who say, yes, I like Chelsea, that's about 10, 12% of the participants saying that they like Chelsea. So not a lot of people, but we have to define what we mean by like. I think when people are thinking about reality TV, they're talking about people that they look up to, people that they admire, people that they can stand behind, people that they can say that person doesn't really make mistakes. And I've seen, like with Marshall, I remember that everyone loved Marshall. Seemingly, I didn't do a survey, but it seemed like a lot of people loved. And then he had that fight with Jackie, and it looked like both of them were participating in the conflict. And then he said something about her being a project, and not great. But to me, it was a pretty conflictual situation. He did apologize for it pretty much immediately, if I remember right. And yet the audience seemingly just turned on him in that moment. Said, not that he was evil, but that they could no longer like him. So I think when people watch reality TV, to like someone means that you stand behind 100% of what they do, which I find to be interesting. I mean, that's how people are, I suppose. It's sort of the culture of watching reality TV. But it's unrealistic because no one is 100% awesome all the time. Everyone's a human being, which is probably why there's very few people that are liked in reality TV. So there's that. But going on to the next question. So, about 12% said, yes, I like Chelsea. And again, this is after episode 6. So this is just after the party that they had where they meet everybody. So it's end of the first day of the getaway. So we don't know anything. And even though this episode is coming out a lot later than, the season's probably over by now. So you just have to put yourself in the mindset of both the viewers and myself. And then the other question is, who is most like you? About 10% said, actually, Chelsea's kind of like me. And then who do you dislike? So about a third of people said that they dislike Chelsea. So I wonder if that has to do with her reactivity to Jimmy at the end there, or if it had to do with her calling out AD's body in the middle of the party. Or I also heard that people don't like her because in the pods, they thought that she was trying to manipulate the situation, like she was in a competition with Jessica to get Jimmy away from Jessica or something like that. Or they don't like her because she turned down Trevor, or they don't like her because she seems wishy-washy, or I don't know. But about a third of people said they don't like Chelsea. And then I asked who triggers you, and again, about a third of people said, actually, Chelsea triggers me. So I wonder if that's because she is what a lot of people would call clingy or needy. I'm guessing that has maybe something to do with it, hard to know. or that she is jealous easily or upset easily. And then I asked who will say yes at the altar. Again, this is after episode 6, and about 10%, 15% of people said yes, Chelsea will say yes. Not that she wants to say yes now necessarily, but at the altar, she will say yes. And that's interesting because, I would imagine when they first were in the pods, I would have thought that Jimmy and Chelsea were pretty, there was a pretty, given the limited data, there was a pretty good prognosis about the relationship. And I think I even said that in one of the videos. But yeah, at this point, it looks like their relationship is already doomed, but I don't know. Maybe they made it to the end, and you already know. Then I asked who was already a no, and about 25% of people said that Chelsea has already made up her mind that she doesn't want to be with Jimmy, which, yeah, I could see. But it looks like, at least where I'm at after episode 6, that she still wants to try to make this work. And I think Jimmy, too. I could see both of them. If they have more fights, I could absolutely imagine it quickly spiraling downward. And then about when I asked who insincerely got engaged to be on the show. So I asked, of the cast members, who got engaged insincerely. About 10%, 12% of people said Chelsea said yes to Jimmy, but never intended on marrying him. That's pretty interesting. Not a lot of people, which means about 85, 90% of people think that she legitimately got engaged. And then I asked who has significant relational trauma among the cast, and about, 160. So it's about 2/3 of y'all think that Chelsea has significant relational trauma, which I would agree with. There's a lot of signs. I can't know, but I've already been over all those signs in a previous video. Okay. I also thought in this free version I would go over a couple of the hot takes. So, this is the most notable scene, which I think is an interesting question too. But, here's another question that I asked is, how much do you like this season so far? And about 21% of people said they love it, and about 44% said that it's above average. And then 26% said it was average, and then 9% said it was below average, and no one said that they hated it. Not a single respondent. So the vast majority, 90% of people either think, yeah, this is a pretty average Love is Blind show, and I like Love is Blind, so pretty good. And then, about 44% say it's above average, it's better than the average, and then 21% says I love this season, it's so good. Yeah, for me, after the first six episodes, I would say that, is it above average though? I mean, because we're coming on the heels of season 5, so it's definitely better than season 5. It's gotten back to its original form. And is it above average in my mind? I don't know. It depends on how things, turn out, because there's a lot of notable things that happened in previous seasons. I guess I would say season 3 doesn't really. I don't really remember what happened season 3. I remember a lot about season 1, 2, and 4. So I didn't say. But I like Love is Blind, so it's not hard for it to be a good show for me. And then I asked any hot takes, and about half of y'all, or 2/3, said any form of a hot take. And then one person said, it's the first time religion makes a debut in Love is Blind. Interesting. Yeah, I noted that as well. I think that it might be, because of course it's come up in the past, regardless of what city in the United States that it's in. It's a big part of people's lives. Of course, it's going to come up when marriage is talked about, especially when you start introducing to family members. For some people, it's the primary question, right? And so they edited it out previously. Not always. We did see some religion being discussed in the past, but not as much as this season. And that either means that it's more relevant to the story, or the folks are more religious. Given that they're from Charlotte, I don't know the statistics, but I'm going to take a guess and say that there are more, every Sunday churchgoers or more active religious people, probably Christian, I don't know, in Charlotte on average than the other cities that we've, season 1 was Chicago, season 4 was Seattle, then we had Seattle, Portland, actually. And we had Dallas, and where were the other? Anyway, so there's that. Then the next hot take, someone says it's a boring season. And then the next is Jimmy is just as problematic as Matthew. Okay, yeah, that's a hot take. I think a fair amount of people actually agree with you. It really just depends on how we see the two of them based on the limited data. You know how I saw Matthew, or at least my reaction to what was being edited in. I could absolutely see a viable explanation for Matthew's behavior. And by the way, I saw a headline that Matthew actually came forward after episode 6. So in another video that will probably also be for members, I'm going to review those articles. Another reason why I'm doing this for members is because usually when I do these kind of one-off episodes, not everyone is that interested in it. So I imagine it's kind of a niche episode. But let's do two more hot takes. Another person says Laura and Jeremy are very close to hating each other. Yeah, I don't know if that's a hot take. Ooh, this is a hot take. AD has a lot of red flags. Yeah, that's a hot take because if we look at AD, you can see her here. She is, I think, the most liked person. Oh, maybe Amy's more liked. But no, AD is the most liked person. And then, I don't know, but maybe people are like, yeah, it's okay to like people that have that have red flags. I'm going to take a guess and say that this person does not like AD. And maybe was the one or see. I said, who do you dislike? 8 people said they disliked AD, which is a very small number. So maybe it was one of those 8 people. That's a hot take. I wonder what those red flags are. Well, if I was to speculate, what this person might be referring to is, so there was one thing that I saw that I didn't know what to make of it. Is that she was, I used the word mousy, that when she met Clay in the hallway, she was real shy and coy. That was different than the way she normally is. That's not a bad thing. It's certainly understandable. There's a lot happening. It's a romantic situation. So there's that. Well, maybe the red flag is the fix-a-hoe stuff. I mean, that is a red flag. To me, it would be a red flag. If someone told me they were dating someone who knows about themselves that they are overfunctioning and codependent. By the way, someone asked a question about me, because I've been saying overfunctioning, codependent interchangeably, and you can listen to my whole deep dive on codependent personality disorder. You can also listen to all my episodes on enmeshment and overfunctioning, underfunctioning stuff. But in a nutshell, all codependent people are overfunctioning in some way, meaning that they are taking care of an underfunctioner. And some of those people are accommodating. They're nice, but they need to overfunction. They're very nice as they're trying to take care of someone that's underfunctioning, but they are also trying to keep that other person underfunctioning, enabling this kind of thing. This is what I call an accommodation type. Then you also have the controlling type. It's not hard to imagine what they would be doing to an underfunctioner, like, criticizing and other kinds of control. And then there's a more rare type that I see very rarely, which is a chameleon type that will chameleonize themselves to the underfunctioner. So they might, if the underfunctioner smokes weed and plays video games all day, then the chameleon codependent will also smoke weed and play video games all day. But not because they want to, but because they're trying to enable and justify the underfunctioner by also being underfunctioning. So it makes the underfunctioner feel like they're normal because they have a partner that does the same thing. And this type of codependent will also typically pick up the pieces around the underfunctioner because they want to keep it the same. And the reason why these people do that is because they were socialized to be that way as children. They're often parentified. And they don't have a sense of who they are. They don't know their own needs. They don't know their emotions because they were not paid attention to in that way. So you hear me as a component of codependency, you hear me using these overfunctioning behaviors and the word overfunctioning. So all codependent people are overfunctioning, but not all overfunctioning people are codependent, because someone can be temporarily overfunctioning. Like if you are generally not codependent, but you fall in love with someone that is underfunctioning just by chance, and then that pushes you into an overfunctioning role, and you don't like it, but you do it because it works, and then say you break up, and then you just go back to your normal kind of behaviors, and you don't overfunction for other people because you don't generally have a need to overfunction. So codependent people need to overfunction in all of their close relationships or significant relationships, whereas if you see someone overfunctioning, unless you know their history, you don't know if they're just in that situation with this current individual, or even the relationship is just like this now, temporarily. You won't know. So, codependent people are patterned overfunctioners. So when I try to use codependent and overfunctioning in the same sentence because I don't want people to not understand what codependent means, which in my estimation, half the internet does not understand, or more, doesn't understand what codependent means. And it's a very helpful construct, and we use it in our field. There's a lot of clinicians who also don't know what it means. Usually people are using it to mean dependent or overly dependent. So they'll use, oh my God, that person's so codependent. They can't do anything on their own. They can't do anything without their best friend right there beside them. They're so codependent. That's not codependent. I mean, it might be if someone's overfunctioning, but so I'm always trying to drill that into people. It's like codependent overfunctioning. That's what that is. So there's that. And AD talks about how she is a patterned overfunctioner, seemingly. I think that's what she's saying. And so maybe that's why someone thinks that she has red flags. I don't know. So anyway, all right. Well, so that'll do it for the end of the free version. If you want to see the rest of this, and there'll probably be a number of these episodes because this is already almost 20 minutes long, and and I have a lot to get to on this survey. I think it's pretty interesting. So if you're a member, then you are hopefully watching the member video and not this video, because this video is going to end. And then if you want to watch the rest of it, you actually have to go to the member video, which is a separate video, and start over where this one left off. And everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.